Your parents gave you the best financial advice they had. They were not lying to you. They were not trying to hold you back. They told you exactly what worked for them because it did work. For decades, it genuinely did. Go to college. Get a stable job. Buy a house. Save your money. Build a pension. Stay loyal to your employer. That advice built the middle class. It paid off mortgages. It funded retirements. It worked, and then something changed. The rules shifted, quietly, without an announcement, without anyone calling your parents to update them. The advice stayed the same. The world it was designed for disappeared. Your parents were right. The world they were right about nitrogen monoxide longer exists. This is the Wealth Slate. And today we are going through the 4 pieces of advice your parents gave you, and showing you exactly when each one stopped working, why it stopped working, and what to do instead. To understand why your parents' advice is failing you, you first have to understand why it ever worked. From roughly the 1950s through the 1980s, the economic conditions in most Western countries created a window of opportunity that was genuinely unusual in human history. Wages were rising faster than inflation. Higher education was affordable. Houses cost 3 to 4 times an average salary. Pensions were defined benefit, meaning you knew exactly what you would receive in retirement. And loyalty to one employer was rewarded with job security and advancement. In that world, your parents' advice was not just good. It was the optimal strategy. College paid off. Houses appreciated. Savings held their value. Pensions delivered. The system rewarded people who followed the rules. The system worked. Then the system changed, and nobody updated the rulebook. Here is what changed. 4 things happened between 1971 and 2008 that broke every single piece of your parents' financial advice. Not gradually, not randomly. As the direct result of policy decisions made by people who were already financially secure. In 1971, the gold standard ended. Money became untethered from any fixed value, which enabled inflation to erode savings in ways that were previously impossible. In the 1980s, defined benefit pensions began to be replaced with defined contribution plans. Your employer stopped guaranteeing your retirement income. Instead, they gave you a pot of money and told you to manage it yourself. Through the 1990s and 2000s, the cost of higher education grew at 3 to 4 times the rate of inflation. The same degree that cost your parents 2 years of salary now costs 8 to 10 years of salary. And from the 1980s through to 2022, low interest rates inflated asset prices, particularly housing, to levels that made the 3 times salary. House your parents bought mathematically impossible for their children. 4 decisions, 4 decades, all 4 pieces of your parents' advice broken. The first is the college trap. Your parents told you to go to college. In 1980, that was financially rational. A degree cost roughly 1 to 2 years of the average salary to complete. The wage premium for having a degree versus not having one was significant. The maths worked. Here is what the maths look like now. The average cost of a 4-year degree at a mid-tier university has increased by over 1,200% since 1980. Average graduate starting salaries have increased by roughly 150% over the same period. Education cost up 1,200%. Starting salary up 150%. The debt never closes. Your parents paid for college by working summers. You graduate with debt that takes a decade to service. The same certificate, completely different economics. And nobody told you this before you enrolled. This does not mean college is always wrong. It means the financial calculation your parents made. When they advised you to go is not the calculation you are actually making. You are making a completely different bet in a completely different market with completely different risk. Second is the housing trap. Your parents told you to buy a house as soon as you can. In their world, that meant buying an asset that cost 3 times your annual salary, which appreciated steadily and which you could pay off in 25 years on one income. In most major cities today, the average home costs 8 to 12 times the average annual salary on 2 incomes, with a larger deposit. At higher interest rates, 3 times salary, then 10 times salary now. Same advice, your parents were not wrong to buy. They bought at 3 times salary in a market designed for that ratio. If you buy at 10 times salary in a market that may correct, you are taking on 10 times the relative risk for the same emotional outcome. The advice is identical. The risk profile is unrecognizable. Third is the savings trap. Your parents told you to save your money. Put it in a bank account. Build an emergency fund. Do not spend what you do not have. The emergency fund advice is still correct. Never touch that. Everything beyond the emergency fund sitting in a savings account is now mathematically guaranteed to lose value. Here is the exact arithmetic. The average savings account pays between 0.5 and 2% interest annually. Inflation averages between 3 and 5% annually. The difference, between 1 and 4.5% per year, is the annual rate at which your purchasing power is being quietly destroyed. $10,000 in savings today equals $8,200 in real value in 5 years. Your parents' savings accounts held their value because inflation was lower and interest rates were higher. That relationship has inverted. Saving money in a bank account is no longer a neutral act. It is a slow loss. And finally, the pension trap, waiting for a tomorrow that stays forever out of reach. Your parents told you to stay loyal to your employer and build a pension. Their pension was a defined benefit plan. It promised them a specific monthly income in retirement, regardless of what the market did. Most people starting work today have a defined contribution plan. Your employer contributes a percentage of your salary to an investment pot. The performance of that pot depends entirely on the market. The risk has been transferred from the employer to you. Your parents were told, work hard, the retirement is guaranteed. You are told, work hard, then manage your own investment portfolio for 30 years, and hope you do not retire during a market crash. Same advice, completely different product. The guarantee was removed without announcement. So here is the Wealth Slate verdict on your parents' advice. Your parents were not wrong. They were operating with accurate information about a world that no longer exists. The mistake is not theirs. The mistake is following their playbook without checking whether the game has changed. The updated version of their advice looks like this. On college. Before you enroll, calculate the salary premium of the specific degree at the specific institution and compare it to the debt you will carry. If the numbers do not close within 5 years of graduating, that degree is not a financial investment. It may still be worth doing, but go in clear-eyed. On housing. Buy when the monthly cost of ownership is comparable to renting the same property. Do not buy simply because everyone says you should. Not buying at 10 times salary is a financial decision, not a personal failure. On savings. Emergency fund first, 3 to 6 months of expenses. In a high-interest savings account, not a standard one. Everything beyond that invested. Index funds, tax-advantaged accounts, assets that outpace inflation. Savings accounts are not investments. On pensions, contribute enough to get your employer match, that is, free money. Then understand exactly what you are invested in and at what fee. Most people have no idea what their pension is actually buying. Find out. Your parents gave you love and the best information they had. What they could not give you is information about a world they did not live in. Now you have it. This is the Wealth Slate. Financial truth, told in black and white. New video every week. See you then.